implosion of the Titan submersible back in 2023 that claimed the lives of all 5 people on board was, quote, preventable. The report placing responsibility for the tragedy largely on the company behind it, OceanGate. That's the company that operated the Titan submarine. It found the primary factor for the implosion of the submersible was the failure of OceanGate to follow established engineering protocols. We know that some questions were raised as that sub was being developed and as it was being deployed under the sea. It also found that had OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush survived the disaster, he could have been subject to criminal liability. He was killed in that disaster back in June of 2023. All right, let's bring in Per Wimmer, an adventurer, an astronaut. He knew 2 of the people who were on board the Titan when it was imploded. Good to have you with us, Per, and thanks for taking the time.
With pleasure.
Can I get your response to this report coming out, placing the responsibility on OceanGate and, of course, by extension, Stockton Rush?
Yeah, so my background is I was signed up on the 2019 mission with OceanGate, which was their first operational year. But that whole season got canceled for various administrative and economic reasons. So I ended up not going. Subsequent to that, I met with one of my good friends and one of the leading experts of deep sea diving in the world, Rob McCallum, who quite frankly scared me quite a bit. And what he told me then was what this report now says, that it's a very bad idea to use carbon fiber and try to stick some titanium at the glue titanium at the end of it. So the structural integrity of the submersible was flawed. And like the report is saying as well, you would have picked that up along the way had you followed normal conventional methods of testing things, particularly submersibles. So yeah, it basically vindicates what I was told, and hence why I didn't sign up again. Having said that, obviously, without sort of bashing Stockton too much, I mean, credit to where credit is due for innovation. I'm all for that. But you have got to keep safety first, number 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. That's safety, 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 because it is dangerous. There's only a dozen of submersibles that can go this deep. A lot of pressure. These people, the 5 people who were on board, would have felt 5,000 pounds of pressure per square inch by the time the Titan imploded. That's a lot. The good news is they would have been killed instantly, so they wouldn't have suffered. But they shouldn't have been killed in the first place. This was preventable.
We're going to show those who died, including Stockton Rush there. You know, the interesting thing, and you touched on it, Per, maybe I can get you to give me a little bit more insights. The idea of the structural integrity, perhaps corners being cut or experimental techniques being used that were not properly tested, this sort of push to be innovative, and this idea that perhaps, you know, the rules on the books were too cautious, and that there was sort of this sense of adventure as well, trying to push the limits of what these devices, these submersibles, could actually do. When you realized what had happened and you heard the news, what went through your mind?
I was shocked first when I heard it, of course. I'm all for innovation. I'm all for pushing the boundaries. And I know Stockton had sort of an ambition to be sort of the Elon Musk of the deep sea diving. And he was constantly fighting the authorities. And fair enough, sometimes you got to be a rebel. You got to push the boundaries. You got to innovate. You got to lower the cost base. That's what private enterprise is all about. But you can't do that playing Jeopardy with people's lives. I mean, this was an experimental submersible, and you can't take paying customers on board on experimental submersibles. It's just not the right way to do it. You've got to follow the various procedures, protocols, do the testing. And if then it then works and it's cheaper and better and more efficient, happy days, let's go. The problem is there's so much pressure when you go deep sea diving that you cannot afford to use carbon fiber. And there were some quite significant warning signs on previous dives where you could hear the carbon fiber break. So bing, 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 almost like little strings that would break under pressure. They have experienced that in previous dives down in the Caribbean and also on previous Titanic dives. And that should have been a heavy warning sign. But these were ignored, and they just pushed it ahead. Part of that was maybe economic, because OceanGate was a small company, a newer company, and they were not sort of massively capitalized. So maybe the financial constraints pushed things as well as the desire for innovation. But bottom line is, it shouldn't have gone ahead. It was clearly not safe, and we have now got that vindicated. I was told that, and I had the good fortune of knowing my good friend Rob McCallum, who told me, and that's why I didn't sign up again. But it shouldn't have been allowed to push out.
Per Wimmer joining us from Denmark. He's an adventurer, astronaut, philanthropist. He knew two people who were on board the Titan and who died in that disaster. Per, thanks so much for taking time again for us in Canada. Much appreciated.
Thank you.